Okay, solving inequalities. So inequalities, that's the less than, greater than stuff.
Do we have to take the... yeah.
We're only going to, the notes are really short. So take it with me. Don't start the assignment just yet. Okay? Because if you try that, you might make a mistake, and then you're going to ask me, and I'm going to be like, we talked about that already. What happened? It's very much like equations, except there's really only two things we need to say. You've done these before, so you know both of these things. So you tell me, when you're dealing with inequalities, what's one of those rules you have to remember that doesn't apply to equations, but does apply to inequalities? Messam, are you thinking of the rule that I'm thinking of?
I was going to ask if you wanted a pizza, cheese stick, or a fry.
I appreciate the offer. I'm going to pass.
Okay.
But I would like someone to tell me what's that extra rule. Andre, what's...
So, like, I said that the answer can be, like, multiple numbers, but...
Yes,
equal is just, like, one number, and the one is showing that number over.
Correct. That's a good one. So you're not just going to get x equals 7 or x equals 3. You're going to get x is more than 3 or x is less than or equal to 7. So yes. But what about the process of solving these? Liam?
If you divide or multiply by a negative, you have to flip the inequality sign.
If you multiply or divide by a negative, flip the inequality.
Definitely didn't do it right then.
If you multiply or divide by negative, flip the inequality. That's one of those rules that if we're working on it, and if you've done a few with that rule, and if we're talking about it, nobody forgets it. It's an easy rule. But if you're in the midst of equations, and you're graphing, and you're doing a bunch of different kinds of things, and then one of these shows up, I hope you remember to flip the inequality. That's when it gets tricky. When graphing, because we're going to graph these on a number line, what's the difference between x is greater than 3 versus x is greater than or equal to 3?
The dot.
What about the dot?
Filled in.
Yes. Which one's filled in?
The equal to.
The equals to sign. The fancier way to say filled in is closed, but filled in is right. Closed circle versus open circle. It's similar to the solid line versus dashed line. Like, do you want to include the line? Do you want to include the point? If you want to include it, put a closed circle. That would be include 3. An open circle would say we are not including 3. And I feel like that makes sense. If it's open circle, it's not there. If it's a closed circle, it is there, and we want to make sure we include 3. Okay, we usually do 3 things with these: solve, graph, and interval notation. Still a few of you struggling with interval notation based on that test. So let's go. -2, parentheses, 10 plus 3x, close parentheses, is less than 16. I say there's 2 different things you could do first on this one. But you tell me, which would you like to do first?
Distribute the 2.
So one option would be distribute the 2. That's not what I want to do first, so I'm going to wait for somebody else to tell me what else you could do, Angel. You could divide by -2. You could do either one, and you'll be fine either way. But I know I'm trying to get x by itself, so I'm going to divide both sides by -2. So 10 plus 3x, -8. Why did I pause right there and not say anything? Got to flip that inequality around. If you divide by a negative, then you got to change the inequality. Right, let's subtract 10. So 3x is greater than negative 18. And then divide by 3. X is, oh wait a minute, do I flip the inequality or not?
No.
Got a negative there.
This is not divided by the negative.
I didn't divide by a negative. Okay, this is what throws people off. It's like some people don't ever do it. That's wrong. Other people do it like too often, and this would be a chance or a spot where they do it when they don't need to. Only when you're dividing by a negative number would you flip it. So x is greater than negative 6. So let's put that on a number line. It's only one number, so if I just put the negative 6 on there, that's fine. Again, that's all you need on the number line. Some people like to put more numbers on to like help them kind of understand where their number is, and some people like to put 0 on there. But all you really need is the number that we're concerned with. Open circle or closed circle? And then where are all my numbers that are greater than negative 6? On the right. So there's my picture. Okay, the little trick of, oh, the arrow is pointing to the right. Like, well, maybe. But if I wrote negative 6 is less than x, the arrow is pointing to the left,
But who writes it like that?
but the solution is this.
Who writes it like that, though?
If you're solving an equation where x is already on the right, sometimes you land with this.
Yeah, but then I always flip it in my mind.
Well, good, but there are people who don't know that, and they use that silly shortcut that just says, oh, it points to the left, I'll shade to the
I
left.
feel like if they use a silly
That's when you're
shortcut
gonna
that
fail.
points to the left, if they use a silly shortcut and they can remember that, they can also remember to flip the numbers.
No, they don't, because they don't understand what's going on, they're just using shortcuts. So that's why I didn't teach the shade the way it's pointed, because that doesn't always work. Okay, interval notation from left to right. My first solution occurs as I move across at negative 6 and heads out to infinity. And then parentheses or bracket on negative 6. Parentheses. Right? And those kind of go together there. The parentheses is the open circle not equal to. Like, that's all connected. Don't want to include negative 6. Oh, let's do one with fractions to mess people up. And negatives. N greater than or equal to negative 3n minus 15 over 8. All right, fraction all-stars. What would you like to do first? Let's multiply by 8. Get rid of the 8. So do I need to do 8 times 3 and 15 times 8? Why did I multiply by 8? To get rid of the 8 in the bottom, so I don't need to... I mean, I am multiplying, but it cancels. So I don't have to worry about it.
I asked him first. I'll take him first.
All right, gentlemen. You know, plenty of time today. What should I do next? Trying to get n by itself?
You plus 3n.
I would plus 3n. You could minus 8n, but probably easier to plus 3n. So 11n greater than or equal to negative 15. Divide by 11. Do I need to swap the inequality? No. Only when what you're dividing by is negative. So greater than or equal to negative 15/11. Open circle or closed circle? Closed. And where are all my numbers that are bigger than negative 15/11? To the right. And then my interval notation, as I read my graph left to right, the first solution is negative 15/11ths, and the last solution is, I shouldn't phrase it that way, there is no last solution. It goes out to infinity. Okay, your assignment, why don't you try number 15, and then we'll check that one together. So try number 15. 4.5 divided by 0.24. I don't want to do out the division with that. I'd rather make this a fraction and then reduce. So do you know how I can make that, how I can get rid of those decimals?
Multiply by 100.
Okay, that's a good way to say it. You multiply the top and bottom by 100. That has the effect of moving the decimal 2 spots. So 450 over 24. And then reduce that however many times it will, and I'll leave that for you. And then you're on your way. But that gets rid of the decimal, and now you've got a fraction.